mug is mine. Something I got for doing things that mom cannot. Like throwing you into the pool, even when the signs say it's not cool. And I pulled my back yesterday, trying to move this giant chest. Yeah, and now I'm on my back all day. I thought you'd be impressed, cause I'm your dad. Your dad, you know it. Cause I'm your dad. Your dad, come on. Cause I'm your dad. Your dad, you know it. And you know I'm gonna injure myself just to show you once again who's dad. Ow! Oh, it's my heavy. I'd rather drive to the wrong address than take advice from GPS. When I say I'm playing with my son, I'm spacing out on Xbox One. But when I drop you off at the carpool, yeah, I yell, bye, sweetie, and I embarrass you. I left these hot dogs out last night, but I'm not afraid to take a bite. Cause I'm your dad, you know it. Cause I'm your dad, come on. Cause I'm your dad, you know it, you know. And I love you more than anything, so you tell me once again, who's dad? Something I got for doing things.
Is that cute?
Yeah, buddy. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Ruby, move.
Ruby, come on. You did not see a dog in any Michael Jackson videos. Can I have some of that energy, please? Forward, out. Forward, out.
You're not doing it right. Good.
You're holding your breath.
Why am I holding my breath?
Hello everyone, welcome to United Wesleyan Church Online. We are so glad that you've joined in with us today. If you are new to United, be sure to click on the I'm New link down in the description box below this video, and that's where you can introduce yourself or say hello, or you can share how we can be praying for you. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd like to send you a gift for tuning in with us today, and clicking that little link allows us to do that. Well, if you're watching us today on YouTube, be sure to press the red subscribe button on this video and then click on the little church bell to turn notifications on so that you can stay connected to all of our content here on YouTube. If you're watching us on Facebook, be sure to like our Facebook page as well to stay connected to all that we're doing on our Facebook page. Well, my name is Patrick. I'm one of the pastors here at United Wesleyan Church. And do you know what one of the downsides is to connecting here online? Well, we cannot tell who's tuning in unless you say something in that chat box. So please let us know you're here by typing in that chat box. Maybe today, let's type one thing that you're thankful for today, and we can share all of those together. Well, as you can tell all around me, we're back on the church campus. Just like everyone else, United is in the process of returning to on-site worship in the near future. In fact, if you have not seen our plan for regathering as a church for in-person worship and reopening our facility, then you can click below down in the description box to see that plan. And we're going to continue worshiping online during this month of June as we have a lot of work to do to prepare our facility and property to fully reopen and to get it ready to host you and our community in a safe and effective way. Once again, we're so glad that you've tuned in today, and no matter where you are or what you may be going through, we want you to know that God is with you and He loves you, and we love you too. And so as we begin this time of worship together, we just invite you to lean in, open your heart to what God would say to you today. Let's worship together.
years we were waiting without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word, from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. To reveal the kingdom coming and to reconcile the lost, to redeem the whole creation. You did not despise the cross, for even in your suffering you saw to the other side, knowing this was our salvation. Jesus, for our sake you died. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. In the morning that you rose, all of heaven held its breath, till that stone was moved for good, for the Lamb had conquered death. And the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe, for the souls of all who come to the Father are restored. And the church of Christ was born, in the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel truth of old shall not lose, shall not fade. By His blood and in His name, in His freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. Praise forever to the King of Kings. God, I look to you. I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see things like you do. God, I look to you. You're where my help comes from. Give me wisdom. You know just what to do. Yeah.
take a seat. Why don't you grab a pen and paper?
Sure.
Okay. And what I'm gonna have you do is write a letter to your son that you're gonna give to him when he turns 18. I want you to write a letter to your daughter
Okay.
for when she turns 18.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh, son's only 4 years old, so this will be interesting. Dear Olivia.
Dear Mason,
You won't read this letter for 6 years, and a lot could change between now and then.
Hopefully, you've learned by now that it's important to put on clothes before you go outside. Maybe you've learned that vegetables are your friends.
I sincerely hope that all of the dabbing has finally stopped.
And also that it's pronounced mac and cheese, not monkey cheese. Mac and cheese.
You dream of becoming a famous singer, so thank you in advance for all the free concert tickets.
Is this still your goal to be a professional YouTuber?
I know you were hoping to become a giraffe when you grew up, but hopefully you have some even better career options now.
It hasn't always been easy. I sat on a piece of gum you left on a chair yesterday and didn't find out until after work.
The dishes really do go in the dishwasher. It's not like a metaphor or something.
Remember when you cut your own hair and then you tried to fix it?
Basically, I didn't sleep for 3 years straight.
But I can tell you this. Despite all the struggles, all the tears, it was completely worth it. And I would do it again, 100 times over for you.
You are a gift and a blessing. You've changed my life.
You are beautiful and strong.
You have so much energy in life, and I can already see how incredibly smart and fearless you are.
More than anything, I want you to know that I love you.
I'm here for you, whatever you need.
You have made me so proud.
And I am excited to see how God uses your life.
You're ready to take on the world. With all my heart.
Love always, Dad.
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 Well, hello again, everybody. Once again, so glad that you're watching today, and welcome to my office. This is another sign that our facility is in the process of reopening. As you know, God's Glory is a sister church of ours that meets in our facility here, and their summer camp has begun this week, and so we've got kids running around, and so you may hear some voices or some knocks, or you may hear a phone ring, and so just welcome to my office. This is another episode of doing ministry during this COVID-19 season. But man, just so glad to feel some life and energy back in the building these days. And so anyways, glad you're tuning in today, and happy Father's Day to all of our dads out there. Man, we're so grateful for you and for all of our fathers that are out there loving and serving their families and providing for their families. And so in honor of Father's Day, we'd love to invite all of you to come out this evening at 6 o'clock at United Wesleyan Church right here for our Father's Day fun and ice cream event. And we're going to have a buffet of ice cream and all the toppings that you can think of. We're going to spread out in our lawn chairs and picnic blankets under the shade trees out here in the grassy area. We're going to have masks and hand sanitizer if you need that, or chairs if you need those. We'll spread out to keep everybody safe, you know. But it's going to be a ton of fun for the kids too. We're going to section off part of the parking lot. So kids, be sure to bring your bikes and your scooters and your skates and all of that. And you're going to have just that whole section of the parking lot to yourself. We'll have the cornhole boards out. And Miss Linda is going to have a special activity for our kids as well. So anyways, I hope to see you here in just a little bit as we gather here on the United property as part of our regathering plan back together as a church family. And so this is our first big gathering, large gathering since coronavirus kind of came on the scene back in March. And so I hope you'll make every effort to be here tonight to come out and see your United family here at 6 o'clock. Well, speaking of COVID-19 and quarantine, we kicked off this new message series last week called Reset. And in this series, we're taking a step back from all of this COVID-19 chaos and confusion of the last 3 months to ask ourselves some important questions. And because here's kind of where we are right now, I think, and that is that we're beginning to come out of this COVID-19 shutdown, right? But we're not quite back to normal yet. We're kind of in this season of in-between right now, right? When the coronavirus really kicked in, it was like we all hit this giant pause button. Not pausing as if we weren't busy, but just pausing in the sense of our normal routines, our normal schedules, our plans for the future. All of those got kind of paused, and not just paused, they were pretty much turned upside down. Scrambled, right? And so even as a church, we had baptisms planned and Discovery United classes planned, Easter plans, building some momentum as a church, and then COVID just forced us to temporarily press pause on some of that for the time being. But now it seems like our lives are beginning to unpause a little bit, and it seems like we're not quite ready to hit the play button, right? But we're not quite on pause anymore. It's like we've hit the slow-mo button, slow motion button. Things are just slowly moving back to normal or a new normal. And so the question that we're asking in this series is, what does God want to do in me or in my family during this season of in-between? Because I think if we pay attention, I think you'll sense that there's this incredible opportunity that we have during this season, not to hit the pause button or hit the play button yet, but to hit a reset button on some things in our lives. Just like when we need to reboot our computer to fix a problem with it, sometimes I think our lives need to reboot as well, and we need to hit a reset button, power down for a minute, and just start over. It might be in your personal finances, it might be in your marriage or on the job or workplace, it may be in your family or your health, whatever area of your life it might be. We have this opportunity, this in-between season right now, to press the reset button and start over. Or if you're not into all this tech stuff, this tech jargon, you might say it's a good time to wipe the slate clean, right? So let me just ask you, where do you feel like you need a new beginning? A reimagining of how you want to live differently and chart a different course for your life? How do you need to experience a life reset? One of the most significant dynamics of COVID-19 and quarantine has been how it transformed almost overnight, right? Within just a matter of days, how we were doing family. Think about it. I mean, the one commodity that was the hardest to come by before COVID-19 is now the commodity that we have the most of, and that's family time. We couldn't find family time before, and now we can't get away from it. And so at first I thought this was awesome, right? It was like a never-ending snow day. There was no school for the kids. We were working from home, so we had all this time together, and this kind of forced us to be together, right? And we had all this extra time and this great potential for drawing closer as a family. But not everybody has had that experience. It's estimated that around 60 million essential workers have continued to go to their jobs during the COVID-19 outbreak, which means for them putting in even longer hours than usual. It means spending less time with their kids, dealing with a childcare nightmare. Who can watch your kids in the middle of a pandemic, right? And then other families have had to deal with the loss of a loved one or the loss of a job, which obviously can disrupt your family life and put pressure and strain on a marriage. And for those families that were already struggling before COVID-19, it's only magnified those problems, adding financial pressures and conflict and uncertainty. And so can we just take a time out for a second and just acknowledge something? And what most of us have been going through over the past 3 months has been a terrible shock to the system for our families. Even the most well-adjusted families that I know have had to deal with fears of the outbreak and shortages and trying to figure out homeschooling and getting infected or family members getting infected and mental health issues. And probably the toughest part of all of this has been our physical isolation from each other in quarantine. So thank goodness we have this technology, right? That where we can FaceTime, we can Zoom call one another, we can live stream our worship online, we can give each other a phone call. I mean, can you imagine if we did not have this technology during this pandemic? I mean, think about that for just a second. And so this is why our church is working to raise the funds necessary to install a fully functioning live stream system here at our church. Because as we regather in June and July, there's going to be a significant portion of our church members, of our people who cannot and should not come back to church yet, to our worship services until a later time. But what that means is that's even more physical isolation from the relationships and community that they need the most and that they want and that we want. So we're working overtime to provide this real-time live stream of our worship services online when we get back together on July 19th and every Sunday after that, so that every person that's in that high-risk group, that vulnerable population, they can still participate in the same worship service at the same time as everyone else, but in the safety of their home. Because as we regather, we don't want anyone left behind or left out at all. Now also what's cool about this too is that, did you know that right at 900 people have viewed our services on YouTube since we were forced to go online as a church? 900 people. For a church of about 130 people, that means 7 times more people viewed our services online than would have viewed our services here on site. So live streaming our services online is this huge outreach opportunity for us as well. I mean, the front door to our church is no longer our front door. It's our church online. It's our website, and it's our online worship services. And so people are now going to visit us online before they visit us here in person. And I think maybe 6 months ago or a year ago, offering your services online was this great opportunity, right? But now it really is a necessity, and it's a necessity for our mission and our ministry here at United. And so this is a huge reset button for our church. And so if you want to be part of this live stream effort, to live stream our services to our community and to our high-risk folks at home as we reopen, then here's 2 ways that you can help with that. One is you can contribute financially to this project of this live stream effort by clicking on the link down in the description box or in the comments. We'll make it real easy for you to find. And you can give your offering or give your gift financially by clicking that link. All you have to do is just mark your gift live stream, and that'll let us know where to put it. And we're trying to raise about $5,000 over the next 2 weeks to be able to fully equip our church to live stream and to do it well, not only for our community as we reach out to share God's love, but also for those of us that need to stay home for a while until all of this kind of blows over and subsides. Number 2, the second thing you can do is that we also need more people to join our technology team. And these folks make our live streams happen week in and week out. And so if you're open to that, I'll put a link down in the description box again or in the comments about volunteering for United, and you can fill out that form and just mark on that form technology team. And no experience necessary. We will train you. And so all you need is your availability and a willingness to learn, and we can take it from there. But all of this, I'm just sharing all of this to say that we are so grateful that we have access to this technology to keep us connected in the middle of this pandemic. I mean, who would have ever thought 3 months ago that we would be online for the last 3 months for worship? I mean, I don't even think I knew what the word pandemic meant 3 months ago, right? But here's what you and I know about all of this, and that is that what matters the most in life is not what happens to us, right? But how we respond to what happens to us. And so we want to respond by making the most of this in-between time, this season as a church, and emerge from COVID-19 stronger and better able to share the love of Jesus with our community, the people that surround our church, the people in Charlotte, the people in Harrisburg and Concord and Huntersville. So this is a major reset button for us as a church, priority for us. But what about you? You as an individual, or you and your family. What does God want to do in you during this in-between season? And so today we want to talk about pressing the reset button as a family, or as families. And so as I just mentioned, our families, man, we have really endured a really difficult season with all the disruptions that Corona forced on us. It's probably got you thinking about, your family and your family life like you haven't really thought about it before. So let me just ask you, how are you thinking or rethinking, reimagining, revisioning what you want in your family life moving forward? Have you thought about that? As I was thinking about this week, I realized that, man, that is a overwhelming question, right? It's kind of like this. It's kind of like this box of puzzle pieces. It's kind of overwhelming. There's so many pieces to that question. And before COVID hit a few months ago, I think most of us had some sense of normal, right, for our families. But in the matter of just a few days, or maybe just a couple of weeks, that picture, that normal, just turned into something more like this, like this pile of chaos. All of a sudden, parents are homeschool teachers while we're also trying to work from home. Grandparents, I'm sure you're in the mix here too, right? Like you're trying to help out with childcare when possible, or maybe you weren't, because for many families that risk of infection, the fear of infection kept us from helping each other, right? And then you add financial pressures and furloughs and the loss of jobs, and we're left just sifting through this pile of chaos in our families. Now, somehow I think most of us, or if not all of us, have muddled through the last 3 months, right? And maybe you have thrived, and if you have, that's awesome. I'm really happy for you, and I hope so, but everyone that I'm talking to has been kind of the opposite. It's been like, we have survived it, all right? We muddled through, we got through it. And the question now is, now what? Now what? What do you and I do with this pile of puzzle pieces that represents our family life? And look, if you are not married with kids, maybe you're a young adult, or you're a teenager, or you're single, or maybe you've already raised your kids and kicked them out, you're going to be tempted to kind of check out for the rest of this message, but don't do it. Don't do it yet, okay? Because no matter what your family life looks like right now, we're all part of some family, right? I mean, you may be a teenager, or you may be a grandparent, or a great-grandparent, or somewhere in between, but we all have our part to play in our families. And so as you look at this pile of puzzle pieces here, you can still ask yourself these questions of, what do you want to do with this pile of puzzle pieces that represent your family and your role in it? No matter what our families might look like, no matter what stage you're in with your family, how do we make sense of this jumbled pile? That's what we want to look at today. And what you and I need, I think, as I've been thinking about this week and just reading at different voices on this, what we need is a vision for our family. I think that's what we need to make sense of the pile. And vision is that picture of what could be, right? Fueled by the conviction that it should be. It's what could be, fueled by the conviction that it should be. It's understanding how you want things to be, how things are meant to be. And so you can think of a vision for your family like putting together this jigsaw puzzle. But this is a lot of pieces, right? I mean, it's overwhelming, especially when you dump it out on the table like this and you're looking at all of this that you have to assemble. It can be really overwhelming. And in fact, there's almost no way that you can put this jigsaw puzzle together unless you're constantly looking at what? The picture on the box, right? You got to see the picture. You got to know the picture. Your vision for your family is like the picture on the puzzle box. And so when you're feeling overwhelmed with the jumbled pile of all the family pieces in front of you, the pieces like what values you want to promote in your home, like what rules matter, what rules don't matter, how you treat each other, what you choose to spend your money on, how you choose to spend your time, how you discipline, how you treat and interact with your in-laws even. Sometimes I feel like all of these puzzle pieces, they pile up and it's hard to know where to start. And that's why we need to start with the picture. And so when you assemble all of these pieces together of your family life, what is the picture that you want to see? When you get it all put together, what do you want to see? Because without a vision or a picture, it will be difficult to put those pieces together moving forward. Here's how the Bible puts it. The Bible says in Proverbs 29, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And the idea here is not just vision in general, right? But God's vision, which is this clear sense of how things are supposed to be, meant to be, how God designed it to be. And if that's not in place in our lives, people perish. And the literal meaning of that word perish here is that we disintegrate into this chaos or this anarchy. Everything just kind of falls apart because there's no target on the wall for how we're supposed to live or think or act. And so things just fall apart. For all the dads listening in today, here's the sports analogy. It's like the basketball team or the football team that has no playbook, right? Instead of running plays, we're just running around in all kinds of different directions, hoping that something good happens. But then we wonder why we keep turning the ball over. So do you have a vision for your family, a picture of what could be, fueled by the conviction that it should be? Do you have a family playbook? And for all of you Clemson Tiger fans, you'll love my puzzle picture that I have. Well, one reason we don't have a vision for our families, I think, is that it's just not easy, right? It's not easy to form that. But if you're a follower of Jesus, we're all going to have some common themes in our visions for our families. But each vision should look a little bit different for each family because every family is different, right? I mean, a different makeup, a different history, different personalities involved. So there's no one size fits all picture for every family that I can give you. Now, I guess I could give you something, right? But it's probably not going to work for you if I do that. And so if you want a vision to work for your family, then you have to put in the work to think through it, to talk it through as a family, and to put it into action as a family too. But I'm not going to give you a one-size-fits-all kind of plan for this. I can't do that. But I'm not going to leave you hanging either. I want to share a couple of examples with you of what this looks like in some other people's lives that I know, and then a picture from Scripture. And hopefully these pictures will help get your minds and your hearts moving in the right direction for how you can define a vision for your family. And fathers, listen up. The first example I want to share with you is from another dad here in the Charlotte area, and how he began to form a vision for his own family, even though his upbringing was the complete opposite of what you would want for your family. And so as I read his story to you, try to find the concrete actions in his story that this family took to build a strong family. And he tells a story like this. He says, "It was during a sleepover at a friend's house when I was in 5th grade. My friend and I played Little League baseball together, and I'll never forget it. When I went over to his house, I knew within like 5 minutes that this family was going to be different. There was no fighting. There was no yelling. The siblings all got along. Nobody was cloistered off in their own room with the door locked, and nobody was angry at someone else. Both parents were there, and they were going to have a family night together. I thought I was just being invited over to have some playtime with my friend. But this was their family night, something I found out that they did every week. And I remember thinking, you mean every week the entire family does something together? And so what that even meant or would entail, I had no idea. But my friend's dad took us into the backyard to play catch, like there was nothing else in the world on his mind, and just playing with us. He was giving the whole night over to this. And then we had a meal together, the whole family sitting around a table at one time, talking and laughing and enjoying each other. And then they got a bunch of pillows and sleeping bags, and they put them in the back of their pickup truck, and we all went to a drive-in movie. They backed the truck in, and then we all climbed into the back to watch the movie. And all of us, the whole family, together. And it was so clear that they just enjoyed being with each other, and we were having a blast. Laughter spilled over, kindness was shown, patience reigned, and love just flowed. And it wasn't even anybody's birthday. It's a great line. Nobody was trying to put on a show. It was just an average weekly family night. And it was just who they were and what they had. And I remember to this day walking away from that and saying to myself, even as a 5th grade boy, someday I'm going to have a family and it's going to look like that. It's going to feel like that. In college, right after I gave my life to Christ, I was meeting weekly with a guy who was on staff with a campus ministry. And we would just have coffee in the student union and talk about faith and books we were reading and about life. But he wasn't just mentoring me in my faith, he says. There's one day when we were together, he said that he was going to have to leave early because he wanted to get home before his wife got there. He said he wanted to clean the bathtub for her because she hated to clean the bathtub. And she was planning on doing it when she got home. So he wanted to get there early to do it for her. I'll never forget that, he said. It was a small, seemingly insignificant thing that he said. But after all these years later, I have never forgotten that wonderful, beautiful picture of selfless, submitted love. And that added to my vision for my own marriage. He goes on to say, after Susan and I were married, the vision kept being tended to and nurtured. Every year we would return to the place that we went on our honeymoon, taking long walks together and always talking about the same thing. Where do we want to be in a year? Where do we want to be in 5 years or 10 years? And it wasn't about materialistic things or about what we wanted to buy, but what do we want our family to be like at this stage and at that stage? And always going over the vision for what we were trying to create together. And those conversations would shape us and lead us and guide us. Isn't that a cool story? And just like assembling this 1,000-piece, 550-piece puzzle, it takes time to put this together, right? And assembling a vision for your family will also take time. And so I'd love to tell you that Katie and I have all of our puzzle pieces together, but we don't. We celebrate our 15-year anniversary here in just a few months, and our oldest child is only 7 years old. So we still have a lot to learn. But I think we'd both say that we have a few puzzle pieces in place, right? But we still have work to do in completing our picture and vision that we want for our family. But I can share with you the few puzzle pieces with you that we've tried to put into place so far. And again, this is not something for you to imitate necessarily, okay? It's just an example of two normal people trying to live this out with their family. And so maybe hearing one other family's vision will open the door to whatever reset God that might be calling you to with your family. Because we all need a vision for our families. And so here's where we are so far. First, we've decided that we want our entire family to love and serve Jesus and to love and serve people. Some people think that because I'm a pastor, it's like I'm a professional Christian, right? Or something like that. And that's usually a punchline or a joke. But that's also the number one spiritual danger for every pastor and every pastor's family. That our faith becomes a show, that we're living in this fishbowl with everybody watching, and our faith becomes a job. And so we desperately and intentionally fight against that. We want our family to authentically and personally follow Jesus because we want to, not because we have to. We don't want to treat Jesus as fire insurance, but treat him as a real and personal friend and Savior and Lord. And so this is one reason why we mostly listen to worship music. It's why we decorate our home with scripture. It's also a reason why we decided to send our children to a private Christian school. Katie and I are both products of public schools, and we both loved our schools. But just to be gut level honest, our schools have changed a ton in the last 20 years. And so once we became parents, we felt like it was a priority for us to educate our children from a Christian worldview. But a quality education was also important for us. We wanted a school that would challenge them academically and prepare them to be leaders in this world too. And so thankfully, we found a great school that excels in both areas. But it's a huge financial investment for us. We have to say no to a lot of other things in our lives that we want, because we've made that a priority. Now, why would we do that? Why would we limit ourselves like that? Well, it's because we know what this part of the picture is for us and for our family. And look, not every family should make the same decision we do. Not every family can or should do what we're doing. I'm not saying that. This is just where we have landed for this time and this place. Now, second, we're trying to live by and raise our kids to live by the golden rule, to treat all people the way we want to be treated, to develop empathy in our kids at an early age. And so with almost every discipline that we do, we're trying to teach them, treat other people like you want to be treated. Third, we're trying to teach our kids to be each other's biggest fans. We break up their fights and their arguments too, right? But more than that, we're working to instill in them this a fierce loyalty and support for one another as brother and sisters, because we know that they're going to need each other one day. They're going to need to rest on that. Fourth, we're trying to love people as Jesus has loved us. And I got to tell you, this is the most beautiful part of the puzzle. But it's the most difficult part of the puzzle too. Which brings me to one last thing that I'll share with you that hopefully will help you form a vision for your family. If you have a hard time knowing where to start in forming a vision or with your vision, I think you could not start in a better place than this scripture that I'm about to share with you. And I think you can use it as kind of a template for your family, for your life, for your marriage. And so as we read it, you may think of it as a list of values for your family, or you may think of it as a list of behaviors that you want to encourage in everyone, or you may just want to lift it up as a picture, right? Something that you'll flesh out with specifics, but it's the picture that you're going for. Many of you know a dear, dear lady who lived out this passage in our church. And she lived it out so well because she made this her life verse. And that was the late Helen Milstead. So place this scripture over your family and over your marriage as I read it. And see what pictures might come to mind for your family. If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels but do not have love, I'm only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. if I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. If I'm successful, if I keep up with the Joneses, if my kids are prettier and smarter and better than all other kids, but I have not love, we gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Love never fails. In this passage, there's 7 actions to take as a family and 9 actions to avoid in your family. And so if you're looking for a reset for your family, start here. If you want to keep putting together your puzzle pieces and adding to your vision for your family, let me encourage you to start here. If you want to get married one day and have children of your own, start here. If you want to know how to raise your children or your grandchildren, start here. And if you want to know how to love your in-laws, start here. And to all the fathers listening in today, if you need a reset as a father, start here. And pray and ask God to help you press that reset button in your life as a father, in your family. Because what we often forget about this passage is that God is love. And so all these things that we just read describes the God who is for you and wants to help you make that reset in your life. So what do you need to reset in your life, in your family? Maybe start here. Will you pray with me? God, we ask you today that you would help us to make the most of this season, this in-between season, Lord, to make the changes that will make all the difference in our lives and in our families. And so, Lord, in the quietness of this moment, as everyone is tuned in, wherever they may be tuning in, whatever time, Lord, I pray in this moment, as they listen, as they pray, Lord, that you would speak to their hearts and give them a vision for their family that you have for them. Give them a vision for a reset in their family, in their lives, in their marriage. We pray and ask this in your name.